Somewhere along your path of awakening, maybe after a profound spiritual realization or a complete personal breakdown, you felt something shift. You saw the illusion, the patterns, the noise, and then silence. At first it felt powerful, even liberating, but slowly that sense of purpose faded. Not suddenly, quietly, like your soul turned the volume down on life and forgot to turn it back up. You stopped chasing. You stopped caring, not recklessly, but in that soft, aching, existential sigh kind of way. And a quiet question began to echo louder and louder. Why do I feel so numb now that I finally see the truth? Here lies the paradox. We think spiritual awakening will light a fire in us. But for many, especially empaths, deep thinkers, seekers, it does the opposite. It empties us. I remember talking to a friend, brilliant, spiritually aware, obsessed with all the right teachers, Eckhart Tolle, Alan Watts, Krishnamurti. After a deep, dark night of the soul, she got it. She saw through the illusion. Identity, ego, chasing success. But 2 months later, she was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, barely able to move. She said, I used to cry because I wasn't achieving enough. Now, I don't care if I achieve anything at all. I thought awakening would make me feel alive. Not like this. Carl Jung, father of analytical psychology, understood this fog well. He didn't use trendy spiritual terms, but he saw clearly what happens when the unconscious rises. He wrote, Enlightenment doesn't come by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. It sounds beautiful until you realize what that actually means. Awakening isn't the end. It's the beginning of a psychological death, the unraveling of who you thought you were. The scaffolding that once gave your life meaning, goals, careers, relationships, even your sense of time, starts to collapse. And here's the twist. The ego doesn't disappear. It just gets lost. It's confused. It doesn't know where to go anymore. So your motivation disappears, not because you're lazy or depressed, but because the map is gone. You're not broken. You're in limbo. You've awakened from something, but you haven't awakened into something else yet. This part is rarely talked about, and even more rarely understood. What you're feeling isn't failure. It's not clinical depression. It's something ancient, something sacred. Jung warned that our modern world avoids this phase at all costs. The void, the sacred pause, the in-between. But he believed it was essential for individuation, the process of becoming your authentic self. And no one tells you about this part, do they? That's what we're going to explore next. What's really happening inside your psyche after awakening, and why this loss of motivation may be the biggest spiritual upgrade of your life. But first, if you're someone who loves expanding your mind and exploring life's deeper layers, subscribe to Fractal Wisdom. We're here to make the invisible visible, and to support those walking the strange and sacred path of awakening. So if you've been floating through a post-awakening fog, wondering where your spark went, you're not crazy. You're going through a psychological shift so deep, it's rewiring your entire inner operating system. The goals you once chased, the 5-year plans, the hustle playlists, they no longer move you. Not because you're failing, but because your fuel source has changed. Jung saw this long before awakening became a hashtag. For most of your life, motivation came from ego. the me you believed yourself to be. You wanted to be loved, successful, validated. That's not wrong. It's human. Jung called it the persona, the mask we wear to navigate the world. But awakening strips away the mask. Suddenly, you're not playing the game because you can finally see the game. Now, your old ambitions feel empty. They were crafted for a version of you that no longer exists. You feel like a character who stepped off stage and forgot their lines. That's not a loss of drive. It's a change of identity. Jung believed we aren't here to kill the ego, but to integrate it, to align it with the soul. He called this the individuation process, a return to wholeness. And the self, the deeper self, doesn't care about status or clarity. It cares about truth. So the recalibration begins. Your psyche begins to reject anything fake, forced, or ego-based. Jobs, relationships, even your old dream board, gone. Not because they were wrong, but because they no longer resonate. That's why awakening is both liberating and disorienting. And Jung warned, if we stop here, we get stuck. Some fall into spiritual bypassing, pretending nothing matters. They confuse detachment with disconnection. But the self doesn't want to escape life. It wants to redefine how you live it. You have to pass through this weird, wild middle zone Jung so perfectly captured but few recognize. This is the hermit phase, the death before rebirth, the caterpillar turning to goo in the cocoon. You're not a butterfly. You're not a caterpillar. You're soup. And soup doesn't hustle. This is where the ego panics. It wants direction, identity, action. But the self whispers, let go. I'm building something deeper. Most modern spirituality avoids this phase. It says, follow your bliss, high vibes only. But Jung would warn, if you skip the darkness, you skip the gold. This stillness? It's not laziness. It's not failure. It's transformation. Jung called this enantiodromia, the return of something into its opposite. From striving to stillness. From chasing to surrender. From I must do everything to why do anything. This swing is sacred. It's how balance is restored. You're not stuck. You're dissolving the old so the new can emerge. Eventually, the silence gives birth to something new. Motivation returns, but now it's quiet. It's not hustle. It's not performance. It's something older, something aligned. You begin to feel nudges, subtle pulls, a call to build something, not for recognition, but from truth. Jung called this the symbolic life, a way of living from within, from soul, where dreams, images, synchronicities guide you more than logic ever could. So what does it look like? It's asking different questions. Not what should I do, but what's quietly calling me? Not what's the plan, but where is life nudging me? Not how do I prove myself, but what feels honest? You're no longer chasing life. You're co-creating with it. This doesn't mean giving up ambition. It means evolving it. Now, ambition becomes devotion, to growth, to presence, to what's real. That's the energy that creates impact. Not the ego's push, but the soul's pull. If you've been feeling lost since your awakening, it's not because you're broken. It's because the fire that once burned inside you has gone out, so a deeper flame can rise. Jung never promised this path would be easy. But if you're here, still listening, you're already walking it. This isn't the end of your awakening. It's the beginning of your becoming. If this resonated with you, if it named something you've been silently navigating, drop a comment. Let's talk. And subscribe to Fractal Wisdom if you want more deep dives into psychology, soul, and truth for real life. Because awakening is not the final destination. It's the moment your real story begins. If this spoke to your soul, if it named something you've been silently carrying, drop a comment below. Let me know where you are in this journey. And if you want to keep exploring the intersection of psychology, spirituality, and self-awareness in a grounded, real way, subscribe to Stoic Trench, because here, awakening isn't the final destination. It's where the real story begins.